everybody. Welcome to another episode of Geekorama, the podcast by geeks for geeks. We are produced by superherofiction.com, the one-stop shop for all your superhero novel needs, and this month, host to the 2020 cover contest. So head on over and vote for your 2020 superhero cover of the year. We are your hosts.
I'm Jeremy Flagg, author of the Children of Nostradamus universe.
And I am T.L. Heinrich, author of the Vigilantes universe.
So this week, we struggled. We're not even going to try and hide this. We wanted something festive. I don't know about where you are, but it's all ice outside right now. There's no snow. It's just ice, everything. So we wanted something that was seasonal, and seasonal superheroes are a little hard to come by.
Yeah.
But we found one.
And it's not Batman Returns, which is my go-to every time.
Yeah, that was going to be our backup plan, but we decided to delve into DC's Shazam, which I'm kind of glad we did because it was the underdog movie. It shouldn't have been as good as it was.
True.
And even on a second watch, I paid money to rent it today.
Oh my God.
And
that's
it was
serious.
Money well spent. I enjoyed it. So
good.
We're going to dive into that. Not quite Christmas related, not quite seasonally related. They wear pom-pom hats, so let's just go with it.
Santa has a lot of swear words at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Poor Santa. He gets screwed.
He does.
Was it the same Santa? That was my other question.
Yes, it's the same guy every time.
Okay.
Gets chased by like the demons, the 7 deadly sins, like 3 different times. He gets trapped in the carnival. It's hilarious.
So, random story. I was Santa Claus in my hometown.
No, you were not.
So my dad did it for years, and for some reason, apparently it's an inherited thing. Which is how Santa is still alive today, in case you were wondering. He bequeathed it to his next of kin. And I had to do it, except because it's in northern Maine, instead of having a sleigh and driving around, I got around on the back of a fire truck.
Nice. In
sub-zero temperatures, it was not fun.
But firemen.
Not these firemen.
Oh, not that. They're not the calendar kind.
No. And we went to old folks' homes, which should have been more fun than it was, but man, they really do pinch cheeks, and it hurts. I looked quite jolly by the end of it.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about Shazam today, but before we get into it, let's do a little bit of pop culture trivia, because I think this one is, I think a lot of people will need this one. This
is a good one. So, the first superhero film, it's not what you think. The Adventures of Captain Marvel, which is also the name of Shazam. This is a rather contentious subject. While I was doing research, I found some articles that point very squarely to Zorro as the first true superhero film. But there are a lot of others that point to the 12-chapter film serial from Republic Pictures in 1941 as the real, first true superhero film. And I think where they get a lot of this is that serial had all of the basic ingredients film, and we say those are the things that really every superhero film needs to have. And those are the origin story, a secret identity, a cool costume, and an arch nemesis. All of those things were very firmly in place in the 12-chapter serial, and they hadn't been before. Zorro had a secret identity, but all the other things really weren't there. So a lot of people point to this beginning of the superhero films that we know today. Captain Marvel was kind of a not well-known hero. He wasn't part of the DC Comics roster at this point. It was just some obscure hero they decided to make a serial out of. It is Billy Batson. He transforms into a godlike good guy and battles a supervillain in this one called the Scorpion. It is kind of a crude attempt to bring comic heroes to the big screen, and it suffers from a lot of cliffhangers that are typical of the serial format. But strung all together, a lot of film critics and film historians say this is where we can trace the origins of a movie like 1977 Superman or Iron Man or any of those movies that really come to mind when we talk about superhero films. They all really have their roots in this 12-chapter serial from 1941. And that is your pop culture history.
So, a couple random things. Shazam outsold Superman in the 40s. Shazam.
No way.
Oh yeah. So Shazam. I'm not going to say this definitively, but Shazam came before Superman, correct?
Superman was in the I think it's around the same time. I don't know. I can look it up.
Superman was 1941.
When did Captain Marvel?
We're going to do some on-camera Googling.
Come out. Here we go. Oh no, in Premiere in comics. You have to be specific. In comics. Okay, here we go. 1939. It was Fawcett Comics in 1939. And actually, it did not start to be a DC comic until 1972.
And when was Superman?
All right. I believe Superman was in the 30s.
I think he was in the 40s.
Superman make his first appearance. 1938.
Oh, okay. Superman before Captain Marvel. But what I found kind of funny about it was Shazam was originally by Fawcett Comics, who later gets bought out by DC Comics as basically everybody. But then he gets shelved.
Yeah.
He gets shelved for almost 20 years. And I think part of it was people didn't know what to do with the character, the fact that it's a boy in a man's body situation.
Yeah.
But when it first came out, one of the appeal was Superman is the hero that all, kids look up to, whereas Shazam is the hero that all young kids are.
Exactly. It's very much wish fulfillment.
Yes. The other thing that I thought was really funny, and I didn't realize this even when I watched the movie for like the umpteenth millionth time, the name Shazam, and this is very shoehorned, which is partly why I love it so much. It's an acronym for the Immortal Elders.
Really?
And I thought the Immortal Elders, so this is where it gets a little convoluted. Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury.
Oh.
The wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, I don't know of Atlas, the godliness of, I don't even know. So he gets all those powers from those people who are the elders. But if you look at who they are, Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, Mercury. What pantheon are you coming from? You have Judeo-Christian, you have Greek, you have Roman, you have a character from literature, like
from Troy, from the Trojan War.
I got some questions about the research that went into this.
Well, they also, when DC bought the character, they had to agree to change the name because Captain Marvel was already part of Marvel Comics. So instead of going with Captain Marvel, when they decided to actually take the character out of mothballs, they changed his name to Shazam.
And it's funny because neither character has been given a true trademark. So, like, I have an action figure of Marvel's Captain Marvel, whereas it's
That's interesting.
DC's Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So I just
It
always
was
find
to avoid confusion.
yeah.
Like they didn't want marketing confusion, so they just decided to change it.
For the longest time, I could not understand how they made that crossover. As a kid, even as a kid, I was a little bit confused. And then for the longest time, I didn't think Captain Marvel and Shazam were the same person. And I was like, something isn't adding up here.
There's a miscommunication.
And why would you make your name be the same name that every time you say it, you turn off or on again? Because you would have, hi, my name is Shazam. Like,
but they use that really well in the movie.
Oh yeah,
that is one thing I think we should talk about is how they use that transformative nature really well in the movie.
Just the say my name, Billy. No,
the other name.
The other name. Like even he knows he can't say it. So
yeah.
I felt like the writers looked at this and was like, no one else questioning this. Yeah, we're working this into the plot.
What are you geeking out about?
So my geek out, so the big thing that I have been watching, and I generally don't watch TV as it comes out because I don't have cable, so I Hulu or do whatever you do. But the one show that I have been trying to watch religiously on Friday nights is, of course, The Mandalorian. So I have to start this off with saying I'm not a Star Wars fan. Star Trek is so much better than Star Wars, and you can give me all the thumbs down you want.
You just started a war. How could you? Not with me. I love them both, but oh my God.
Captain Picard would kick Han Solo's ass.
I didn't just hear that. I can't. I love them both too much. I love them both. Now throw Shatner in there, and both of those other captains will kick Shatner's ass.
Yeah, that I will agree with. Shatner is my least favorite of the captains, which I'm probably now starting a war with those people too. So bring it on. I'm ready. But because I'm not a super huge Star Wars fan, I really think I'm able to enjoy this a lot more than super fans.
Yeah.
So I never saw the original movies in the theater. I had VHS, like my dad's VHS, I think. Mm-hmm. And I would occasionally watch them, and I didn't understand why there's so many space westerns with robots. And I've never been a Western fan, and let's just be honest, that's kind of what Star Wars is. Yeah. There's a lot of space Western to it. And so I never really got into it. I like the aliens. I like the sci-fi factors to it. And not once did I ever watch the original trilogy and go, oh, Boba Fett's a cool character. Sorry. Just
same.
Like, you know, the little weird, funny puppet alien that is with Jabba the Hutt?
The one that laughs all the time? Yeah.
I like that more than Boba Fett. So,
dude, I like Sarlacc more than Boba Fett.
I like Jar Jar Binks more than Boba Fett.
Oh my God, you win.
Drop the mic. So, and mostly it was just because he's a bounty hunter and he gets killed pretty quickly. So I never understood it. So I'm watching The Mandalorian. I read books written by some of the authors, so I understand the old canon fairly well. Why have we never had a Mara Jade series? I don't know, which still makes
my God. Right? Yes.
I've been living for that moment, but we still haven't gotten it. Thanks, Star Wars. And so The Mandalorian has been just good fun because I get enough of the references where I'm like, oh, okay. And there's a lot of things that I'm looking at going, I should probably know this. So after every episode, I have to go look at the Wikipedia and make sure that I caught all the references. I never do. I don't catch any of them. And so the past couple episodes, and I'm sorry, I am going to spoil. So you can just skip right ahead of me talking. Go to Trish. This season, I've really enjoyed it just for the sake of one, Baby Yoda is actually kind of becoming a fully realized character instead of just a puppet. He was cute last season. Now he's cute and functional. And so I'm kind of enjoying that.
He's
And
kind of a psychopath too.
yeah, like I'm going to be the first one to say the best thing out of watching Mandalorian is Friday morning as I'm checking Facebook, people have, like, they got up early to watch it so it wouldn't be spoiled. And someone wrote the phrase, "Nobody hates Star Wars like a Star Wars fan." And yeah, that's so true. No one hates Star Wars more than its own fans. And so, like, the episode where Baby Yoda is eating the eggs and people come out being like, "That's so wrong," as I make my omelet. Granted that I'm not making the chicken watch, but I still wouldn't care.
Well, they're not endangered and refugees. They aren't refugee chickens, so I don't really have an issue with them.
I looked up how to make a deviled egg out of an ostrich egg the other day. So
damn, dude.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
So I just, every person who was commenting on it, I was just rolling my eyes thinking, wow, you guys really need to go to work. Like, leave Facebook alone. And then, of course, there's been a bunch of controversy with some of the actors and actresses doing stuff. I don't care. No one cares. It's all manufactured drama, and it makes them get more sales. So really, whatever. I don't even know what the point of views are that are being argued. I'm just click, let's watch.
Yeah.
So I'm really liking that. And then what I really liked so far this season is I don't even know who the other trio of Mandalorians from the other Foundling.
That's some deep cut fan knowledge stuff, but basically they're from Rebels. They're from the TV show Rebels, and they're amazing.
Okay, that's what I have watched a couple episodes of Rebels, so I'm making the connections. I'm just not really sure why it's so important yet. But what matters more to me is who is showing up, because Katie Sackhoff showed up in Star Wars, and Katie Sackhoff is from Battlestar Galactica, arguably the best sci-fi, space sci-fi. Star Wars fans, you hear me right now. Best star sci-fi.
Well, Katie Sackhoff did the voice of the character she played live on Rebels. So that's what is just great. I loved that.
And Katie Sackhoff really is a Mandalorian. I mean,
yeah, I think she probably is.
And if you want the best Katie Sackhoff performance of all times, go watch the fan-made Power Rangers with Katie Sackhoff. They got James Vanderbeek and Katie Sackhoff.
Oh my God.
It will make you fall in love with Power Rangers all over again. It's so good. It's better than any Power Rangers that's ever been made. But I digress. So that I really like. And then I really liked I'm gonna say the name wrong. Is it Ming-Na?
Ming-Na, yeah.
From Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
Who, she's just a badass. She's not acting. She really is just a badass.
Absolutely, 100%.
And what I really like about it is if there could be an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Mandalorian crossover, I would buy into that. Like, she is the same person.
She could do it. She could pull it off.
Yeah. And then, of course, the one that got all the hurt fanboys going was about Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Get
it right.
I know. It goes to show you, again, Jean-Luc Picard.
The only reason I'm obsessed with Ahsoka is because I think she's one of the best, most fully realized, most incredible female characters in the entire Star Wars canon. Like the entire canon.
Well, and so we originally see her in Clone Wars. Well, I'm not willing to go back and rewatch it to find out. She was in the third of the prequels, wasn't she?
There are rumors. So somebody says they saw
from the back.
Yeah, but that wasn't. So the thing is that Clone Wars came out after the prequels, so there's no way that could have actually been Ahsoka.
But it was someone of her species.
Yeah, it was. Or there are several of her species that were actually in the prequel movies, and Ahsoka as a character is not just in Clone Wars; she's also in Rebels. And yeah, Ahsoka is. Yeah, there's rumors of an Ahsoka solo series as well. But anyway, go on. This is your geek out, not mine.
So, and again, she's got a badass fight scene. The opening piece is everything I've ever wanted of a Jedi, because I again, in the original 3, Vader is the best character.
Oh, the lightsaber scenes get better every film.
Yeah, and so you have in the first movies, the lightsaber scenes are kind of, they're sword fighting. They're old school special effects sword fighting, which is perfectly fine. And then you get to, and I will say my personal favorite, and this shows you how much I'm not a fanboy, is in the first prequel, the Darth Maul, that final scene.
That's everybody points to that as one of the best lightsaber fights ever.
Get rid of the rest of the movie and just
Agreed.
that.
Agreed.
Which, did you know that that's also the guy who plays Toad in X-Men?
I did not. I did not know that.
He can't act. That's why he has no lines in X-Men or in Star Wars. He's
a really good stunt coordinator. They got him for his ability to do that kind of thing. And he actually did. If you want to see an amazing lightsaber scene, not even kidding you, second to last episode, or the last episode of Clone Wars, Ahsoka and Darth Maul. It's all done by motion capture. So they have actual people doing it. And it is hands down one of the top 5 best, if not the best, lightsaber scene I've ever seen in my life. It's incredible.
And so I really liked the opening scene of this, because I finally felt like I got to see a Jedi be a badass Jedi. Like,
yes, agreed.
In the newer movies, there were really good scenes, but not the sword fight scenes that I really wanted. And this gave me what I wanted. And the best part was when literally the fog settles, it's Rosario Dawson.
I know.
Who is as badass as I ever want her to be. Like, you were badass in Luke Cage. You were badass in Iron Fist. You were the only reason I watched Iron Fist.
Agreed.
And you were the best part of the Defenders, whatever the hell that show, series, movie, whatever it was.
Defenders. It was called The Defenders. I loved it.
I enjoyed it because of Rosario Dawson. And then we see her in this, and I'm like, we just need a movie about Rosario Dawson being a badass. And I'm in for it. So I'm not going to talk about the newest episode, because it is so spoiler heavy that it would ruin it. So go watch it. It's been fun. I'm still not a huge fan of space westerns, but there is enough sci-fi that's carrying me, and I do so far really like the characters that are popping up.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure where the story is going. I'm sure the fans are like, "Oh, we know," but
nobody knows.
This is like me watching superhero films. There's no surprises. I know everything that's going to happen. I can watch Star Wars and go, "This is fun." What happens next? Who are you? Why do you matter? It's kind of fun not being a fanboy for something.
Yeah, you're not as invested in it at all.
And I can just enjoy it and not nitpick.
Yeah, exactly.
Not wonder why Phoenix has such a horrible storyline. I digress. So what have you been geeking out about?
Well, nothing nearly so interesting. Honestly, I was thinking, man, I could have geeked out about this very easily because that Ahsoka episode, I lived for that. Honestly, The Mandalorian is great. I love it. It's escapism for me. Um, what I lived for this season was the Ahsoka episode. Like, I didn't care about spoilers for anything else unless except for that episode. I didn't want any spoilers. But anyway, so I mean, I could share your geek out about it.
I didn't even know that. Like, I don't follow like art. Like an article will pop up on something going, guess who's going to be in it? And I'm like, that name makes no difference to me. Okay. So even when I watch it a couple episodes later, I still enjoy it. I'm still pissed off that they spoiled that Glenn died in The Walking Dead. I'm pissed off that the end of The Sopranos got spoiled for me. It wasn't even
Oh,
at that point. Yeah, I was mad. I was mad both times it ended. So I take some
yeah.
bitterness in my grave.
I don't care about spoilers for most things. There are some that I do that I'm like, no, please don't tell me. I don't want to know anything. Like
And
Veronica Mars, the Veronica Mars limited series on Hulu. I didn't want any spoilers for that.
I read like half an article about the Baby Yoda revelation, and I'm reading it going, okay, whatever.
I'm just glad we finally have a name for it.
Oh my god, and it's a horrible name.
I like it.
It every time she said it, I was like, "Are you mispronouncing it?" I think you are.
Well, Kara, I told Kara, this is just going to be my geek out too. I'm just going to make it my geek out too. Because I told my daughter, because Kara, my youngest, is obsessed with the child. That's what she calls it. And I said, they have a name for it now. No, Mom, it doesn't have a name. I was like, no, they did. They revealed it. And she's like, it's forever the child. And she says it very reverently, the child.
And I got a little bit irked. Okay, so the fewest of gripes I actually have about this is when he was like the child, and she goes, "The child has a name," and I was like, "Yeah, the child, Baby Yoda. Don't you know that?
I know, exactly.
Have you not seen the Target merchandise? Baby
Poor
Yoda."
Rosalind. Poor Rosalind is so confused. She's like, wait, when does this take place? And I told her, and she's like, but how can Yoda be a baby when he's an old guy waiting for Luke? Has Luke met Yoda? I was like, no, honey. And I'm trying to explain to her, and she's like, ugh, I don't care.
And part of me, like, I was trying to figure out where it is in the timeline, and so I had to read like an article after one of the episodes that explains where it falls.
Yeah. It's after Return of the Jedi, before the last 3 movies.
Yeah, and
like right in there.
And does it really matter?
It does a little bit, mainly because you're not going to understand kind of the politics and what's going on with the Imperials and the big bad guy, played by Giancarlo Esposito, which is just fucking amazing.
Let me just explain that when I watched Indiana Jones Temple of Doom,
stupid prequel. It's stupid.
I did not realize that it took place during the 40s.
Oh.
I just thought that there were rogue Nazis all over the world.
Temple of Doom is the dumbest concept. Honestly, though, second Indiana Jones movie is actually the first Indiana Jones movie because it's a sequel. It's actually a prequel. Who thought that was a good idea?
Was it? That's how little timelines matter to me at this point.
Damn, this geek out went off the rails. We are this tired, people. This is what 2020 has done to podcasters.
The other thing, and this is just a universal gripe, and I get it. It is just like the red shirts of Star Trek. But every time I see a stormtrooper get shot, and they get shot in the shoulder and die, I could take a 357 slug to the shoulder. It could blow my arm off my body, and I wouldn't die.
Not right away.
I would bleed out a little bit. And what I do like is just the universal Star Wars magic is whenever they get hit, they always fall so the wound is away from the camera.
Did you know that actually in Rebels, because a couple of the clones survive, and they talk about, there's a line where the guy was like, boy, that armor is not as tough as ours was. We could take a blow to the shoulder and we'd be just fine. Those guys are falling. And it was really funny because it's some meta like commentary on how fragile the fucking stormtroopers are.
And I get it. Like, I almost kind of think of them as like
cannon fodder.
Not even just cannon fodder. Like, they're cloned, and I just have this image of they've been cloned so many times that they're just kind of dumb. And so
running towards the laser.
They literally run towards the bright object that kills them.
Ooh, shiny.
And so, and in the newest episode, there are many stormtroopers, and there is much gunfighting. And every time they got hit, I just look at it and I'm like, okay, I can believe that there is a baby Yoda who can access a piece of the universe that gives him superpowers. That I'm okay with. Your body armor, taking me out of the story.
No, I feel you. I think one of the things that you and I have to do, just maybe for a shared geek out for our last episode of the year, in a couple weeks, is watch the Lego Star Wars holiday special, because that is going to be off the hook amazing.
You know, I recommend a lot of bad movies. Even I recall Star Wars Christmas.
No, this is Lego Star Wars, so it's like it's good. Hypothetically.
Star Wars and Christmas. I
know. Life Day was a bad idea from the start, but the thing is, I am so starved for new entertainment. I'm going to watch it.
I can't even think, like, I started watching American Dad, like the episodes once it went off Fox, which I don't think I ever watched. Like, that's the level of new entertainment I'm waiting for.
I can't do Seth MacFarlane anymore.
I cannot wait for
WandaVision.
The Orwell to come back.
Oh. Well,
Star Trek. Battlestar Galactica.
Okay. Above it.
Orwell.
Okay.
Firefly.
Firefly. Okay, we're gonna have to have an intervention.
My ship shows have Star Wars at the bottom.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to have an intervention. We'll do that during the break.
You know what? I'm gonna go rewatch every episode of Battlestar Galactica, and the cheat.
I could not get into that show. Couldn't get into it.
Katie
All right. I will admit, she's amazing. All right, everybody, we're going to take a short break, and then when we get back, we are going to talk about Shazam!
Desperate to read a great cape and cowl story but unable to find any on Amazon? Want a new anti-hero to love to hate? Need some women heroes in your super team rotation? Superhero Fiction is here to help. With over 300 curated superhero books and counting, you're sure to find the novel that will scratch your itch. Unless, of course, that itch is a radioactive spider bite, and then, well, you're on your own. Superherofiction.com. Real fans read.
All right, and we're back. First thing I need to start with, did you know that Billy Batson is also a singer?
The actor that played Billy Batson? I did know that. He was in Andy Mack on the Disney Channel, and I do have to say that he couldn't act his way out of a paper bag with a flashlight and instructions on Andy Mack, but he was good in this, and I'm not sure what the difference is besides maybe a little bit of time.
Asher Angel, and he, because of course, when I watch a movie, like this is the thing that drives people absolutely batshit bonkers about me, is I have to watch a movie with IMDb open, which is why movie theaters and I don't get along.
That's what Dan does, and I love it though, because he'll pause the movie and he'll be like, "Okay, random trivia," and I'm here for it. I love it so much.
So the two other guys I watch movies with, one of them has to take a pee break like every 5 minutes, and that's when it's IMDb trivia moments. Asher Angel has hits like "Do You Wanna," "No Pressure," "Guilty," "All Day," "Chills," and I guess
With a Z.
Featuring Wiz Khalifa, "One Thought Away."
Okay.
It just, I was trying to figure out, because I always try to figure out who in this movie has been Law and Order SVU.
Who was?
None of them.
Oh my God.
No, I do take that back. The daughter was, the Mary was in SVU.
Okay. That makes sense.
There were a couple people who popped up, but not the main actors. There's never a movie. It's 6 degrees of 7 bacon have come to 1 degree of Law and Order SVU. But yeah, so when the trailer first came out for this, I thought this was going to be the most obnoxious movie known to mankind, because the kid played by Freddie Freeman, played by Jack Grazer, was so annoying.
You didn't like him?
No. There were, like, in the commercial, you wanted to punch him in the face, because
I don't remember that.
Some of his lines are super obnoxious, like in the supermarket thing.
Oh yeah.
And that was part of the trailer. And so you were like, oh my God, if this is going to be a whole movie of you being impressed with him, I'm going to be annoyed.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't originally very into the idea of this movie, because I thought it was just going to be all him. And he's a fine actor. He did a great job. Mm-hmm. But some of his lines, like, "Dude, you have bullet immunity." We have a word for that. It's called bulletproof. You have fire immunity. We have a word for that. It's called fireproof. Where is this word? You watch superheroes. Where are you getting these stupid phrases from?
I kind of loved it though, because it felt like he was trying to make up this new like language and dictionary, sounding very like clinical about the powers. I thought it was really kind of adorable, actually.
And in the context of the bigger movie, I actually thought it was very much the right proportions.
Yeah.
And so the movie is an origin story for a pretty obscure character.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an interesting play, because there's 2 main stars. The first being, I'm going to forget his name over and over again. Asher Angel is the 14-year-old Billy Batson. And then Zach Levy as Shazam. And I love Zach Levy.
I do too.
I thought Chuck was the funniest show ever.
I loved Chuck, but where I really fell in love with him, Tangled. He will forever be Eugene. He will forever be Eugene. Oh my God, I love him so much. I love him.
And what I find funny is, because I did watch Chuck, and in Chuck, he's basically the most useless spy in the world.
Oh my God, he is.
He slowly becomes a good spy, and then even the best spy, I guess, arguable. But in that whole thing, he's always like this super insecure, because he's with the gun-toting CIA dude and the really hot woman, and he's just him, Zach Levy.
Which is what I loved about him in that show.
And in this, Zach Levy is a god. And just...
with a 14-year-old's mentality.
And just to see how Zach Levy, his character is like the range, that made me chuckle, kind of knowing his career. So I actually think part of the pleasure is having watched Zach Levy's early work to coming into this movie. It made me love him even more.
He just went for it.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could tell he was having so much fun and channeling that very Tom Hanks in Big energy and not trying to be Tom Hanks, trying to be himself doing this. And it worked beautifully.
And the closest movie I can compare this to, and follow me on this because this is a leap of logic.
Okay.
Deadpool.
Explain.
So Zach Levy as Shazam is balls to the wall. Like there's no holding back. He is exactly what a 14-year-old is with superpowers. Deadpool pulls no punches. He is Ryan Reynolds featuring Deadpool, I guess.
It's Deadpool playing Ryan Reynolds is what it is. Yeah.
And I got an email from Ryan Reynolds this morning.
Oh my God, you're so lucky.
And so phone service, you should all go get men. Product placement. And so this movie felt very much like that. It felt like they were allowed to have fun, and it didn't feel like there were people telling them, tone it down. Now, it's not Deadpool in the fact that it doesn't feel like it was adult humor that was PG'd. It felt like it was good-natured fun that just didn't go into the gutter.
Yeah. It was very obvious they were trying to make this the one DC movie that was not grimdark and that you could take your kids to, and they didn't quite cross the finish line where that's concerned, but they came really close to it, in my opinion.
And it's funny because there's some similar things. There are strip clubs in Deadpool, which are super risque, and let's get in on it.
And we see inside the strip club in Deadpool.
Yeah. And in this, there's a strip club, which is the reaction of a 14-year-old going to a strip club, and he comes out with food.
Yeah. He's like, I need more money. And
you were in there for 5 minutes. They were really convincing.
Well, and we talked about this before the show. Everything that they had him do is exactly, both of them, him and Freddie, is exactly what 14-year-olds would do if all of a sudden one of them had superpowers and transformed into an adult. And the movie is aware of itself in a really kind of unique way, much like Deadpool. Yeah.
Deadpool breaks the third wall. He can get away with it, or the fourth wall. They don't even need a fourth wall. There's no walls. They just blew that away. In this, they did have to have smarter writing in the fact that they couldn't address you, the viewer. But there's an early exchange between Freddie and Billy where he's explaining how if you had a choice of either flying or being invisible, and what would that mean? And, you know, he talks about, like, if people had these powers, these are the weird things they would do. Fast forward 15 minutes and they're doing some of the weird things they talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm putting it up on YouTube, which I genuinely was like, that is what 14-year-old boys would do. They'd film this shit and they put it up on YouTube, because why the hell not?
And even so Billy Batson goes in through a series of weird events. He winds up in some magical other world, and he gets the powers of the elders. And it's the source of all magic, blah, blah, blah. He turns into Shazam. And they
don't spend a whole lot of time on that, for which I am very grateful, honestly.
Yeah. And this isn't a movie in which a mentor helps him become his character.
No.
His own devices.
Yeah.
Which I will say they did much more noble things than I would have done as a player.
Well, eventually he does.
Even earlier on, I would have definitely been out of control. And so, you know, the origin as they learn the powers, and this is something I hate in origin movies, is when they discover new abilities, and now they have to learn how to harness them. They did it as basically a YouTube cut show.
Yeah.
And it was genius because, and did you notice that all of the abilities that they tried, none of them worked?
Yeah, I did. And that was something I didn't really clue into the first time I watched it, but last night when I was rewatching it, I was like, he keeps crossing these things off. And I think one of the reasons is because these are ridiculous abilities. They're like, let's just throw everything at the wall and see what you got. And my hands down favorite moment is when they put him in a box and they light it on fire.
And they're testing his teleportation abilities, and there's 2 boxes, and he gets in one, and you assume he's got to teleport to the other one, but it's a secret fire immunity challenge, and he sets the box on fire.
And he's pissed, and he goes chasing Freddy.
And I just think, if I had a friend with superpowers, yeah, I'd be doing some weird stuff to them. Like, let's
or like when he's stopping the robbers at the 7-Eleven, and they're like, is it the suit or your skin? Hey, shoot him in the face. Yeah, shoot me in the face.
And I'm a high school teacher. That is truly 14-year-old boys. Like, all self-preservation, like whatever thing that keeps us alive as humans has not developed in a 14-year-old boy. That's later in life.
That is true. Yeah.
And so I just really liked the heart that goes into this weird origin story. Yeah. And it had me chuckling enough that I kind of forgot, oh, I'm watching an origin story. Like,
which you hate. You hate origin stories.
I hate them. Iron Man, the first Iron Man, great film. I've got no qualms with it, except for the whole him becoming Iron Man part. 25 minutes of you building this suit, really? I'm going to go get popcorn.
That's the best. It's Robert Downey Jr. in a tank top, and he's sweaty, and he has a hammer. It's the best. I rewind that scene.
Go back to our first episode. This podcast started with her talking about abs. It's 30-something episodes later, and we're still on abs.
Stephen Amell. Anyway.
And so I really like that. And there is, so where a little bit of the confusion does come in this film is I in my mind, I remember it being very family friendly, being like, oh, this is where you would bring kids. On the rewatch, the opening scene is, I mean, you kind of have to understand how the villain gets made. I get that, but holy crap, abusive dark.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
The dad is the dad from Smallville.
How many fathers of villains is he going to get to play before he retires? Because he's got one more too. He's played at least 3, and I just can't remember the third one. He
looks like every villain's father.
I know. He was ripped in Smallville, though. There is a season where they show him in prison, and he's in a wife beater, and I was like, holy shit, where did those muscles come from? It was insane.
And it's just funny because I don't think he needs to act. I do feel bad for the guy in a way. He does definitely get typecasted.
Yeah.
He was in Agent Carter.
Oh, that's right. He was. Holy shit. I forgot about that.
Smallville, Tron.
I think he was one of the bad guys in Tron, wasn't he?
Heroes.
Shit, seriously?
He was in both Law and Order SVU and Law and Order Criminal Intent, so he's a twofer.
Oh God. Oh my God.
For those who don't know, I spent a summer watching the beginning of Law and Order all the way through. It took me 4 months, but I did it.
That's dedication. No, but it's that opening scene with the car accident, and it is really horrifying. But to me, where it really goes off my family-friendly list is the boardroom. The boardroom where the villain has they're essentially demons.
Yeah.
Tossing people out windows and tearing them limb from limb. And I'm like, okay, you know what? my girls can deal with some stuff, but this is a little much.
And I almost felt that scene because it comically it goes to the administrative assistant outside the office, and he's like, something weird's going on, and he goes to watch it, and you see like a body get smeared across the window, but you don't see it, you just see the silhouette. I think you could have just done that. Exactly.
You could have stopped there and we had the idea of what was going on in there.
It didn't need any of the gruesome, like it.
We see somebody step on a head. We don't need that shit. Honestly, we don't.
And it doesn't show up anywhere else in the rest of the movie. That's the only scene.
That's what makes it so shocking. And also that you and I both were like, oh, this is pretty family friendly. Like, I was thinking of rewatching it with my kids, and I'm really glad I didn't, because I forgot about that scene, because it's so out of character with the rest of the film. It's almost like Zack Snyder was like, I want to write a scene for your movie. And that's the scene he wrote.
That's when he showed up on set, and they were like, quick, blood.
We got to make this shit grim.
And it even kind of pokes some weird fun at the rest of DC. So you don't know when this movie takes place. It's very evergreen in the fact that I kind of feel like the studio thought it was going to tank. Agreed. They ignored it. And so there's some really great references in it. Freddy on his bedroom dresser has a replica of the Batarang. It's the same Batarang that we got from Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm. He's got a bullet that supposedly hit Superman.
Yeah, and it's been authenticated.
It's so exciting.
And so he makes references to the Cape Crusader Batman. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh, you're more of a soups guy, and opens the drawer, and there's all these articles about Superman. So it does fit into the pantheon of DC Comics, but all we know are Batman and Superman exist. And
actually, he's wearing a Wonder Woman t-shirt towards the end.
Oh, and he's wearing the Man of Steel t-shirt.
Yeah. So the Wonder Woman one is kind of hidden under a zip-up hoodie. You really have to look for it. Like, we rewound it and paused it because Deanne's like, I swear that's a Wonder Woman t-shirt. And we rewound it, and sure enough, it's the W with the sword in the middle. It's a Wonder Woman t-shirt, but it's really kind of hidden.
And they had their own merch in the movie, which
a whole wall of it.
Kind of funny. And then, of course, there's the cameo at the end where there's an early scene where Freddy wants Shazam to show up to school to show that they're friends, and it doesn't happen, and it causes a rift and yada yada. But at the end, while sitting at lunch, Superman shows up.
There's the cool thing about this is Henry Cavill. They asked Henry Cavill, would you come on for like a half a day, if that, to do this? And he really wanted to. He was shooting another movie, and he really tried to get out for just a day to be able to go and actually show up, and he couldn't do it. So they actually got his body double. You never see the face. You see like from the collarbone down.
Yeah.
But I love that Henry Cavill actually was like, no, I really want to do this. I really want to show up for that. Because
I wonder if that was when he was filming
or whatever. What?
I wonder if that's when he was filming Rogue Nation.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
With a mustache, because then he wasn't allowed to cut off the mustache for the
reshoots.
So,
which I swear to God was the other movie just fucking with Warner. Because there's absolutely no reason for him not to be able to shave that mustache.
I mean, it looked like it was glued on to begin with.
Yeah, that was the worst porn stash I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God.
So I liked him in that movie way more than as Superman.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, that bathroom fight scene, top notch.
Anyway.
Out of him.
Yep.
And so the overall theme throughout the movie is kind of found family, which is heavy-handed and not heavy-handed at the same time, because this is the same exact theme of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I hated it in Guardians of the Galaxy. It was so pity party solution, and then when Guardians 2 came out, it was, oh, my real family is going to come in, and oh no, my found family matters more. Let's just rehash the same theme over and over, 8 ways in one movie.
I wish that they hadn't done that in the first Guardians movie, because it fits better in the second one, in my opinion, with what they were trying to do. And I agree with you. It's way more heavy-handed in both of those films than it was in this one.
And in this one, it's in your face. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of delightful.
Yeah. So the Billy Batson gets taken in by a foster home, and while it's a haven of misfits, I guess. My favorite part are the parents who were also foster kids themselves, and they have a little monologue about how Billy's run away, and they're like, well, remember how often we used to run away and whatever. And then did you catch the line about he had to marry her twice?
No.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
He was like, he said something, and he's like, I even had to marry you twice. And I was like, wait, did you? Okay. Like that. It was comical.
The thing that I think is that one of the main differences is these actors were really easy with it. It wasn't these big emotional, gut-wrenching moments. These actors took these things that are emotional and they are gut-wrenching. These ideas of being abandoned by your family and having to get past that. And, in the case of the foster parents, wanting to give these kids wanting to love these kids who aren't sure if they can trust people to love them. Like, all these things are very serious, heart-wrenching things, but the actors played these themes in a natural, relaxed way. So I didn't feel like anybody was shoving anything in my face or being heavy-handed with it.
And there's a scene where Billy Batson meets his mom, and we find out that the scene in the beginning when he gets separated from his mother is actually his reimagining of the scene, and the real scene is essentially his mom leaves him. And that was one, it was done in such a beautiful way that it was
Agreed.
And I commend the thoughtful process that went into that. And then the scene with the mother, there's a guy yelling through the door for her, and he's like, that's not my dad, isn't? She's like, no, things are a lot different now. And you want to be mad at her, and she even has a little bit of a sympathetic reasoning to why what she did. Not saying it was right, but you feel for her. But instead of there being this, now I'm going to go sit down and cry, and I'm going to go wallow, or I'm going to go have an emotional scene because Uncle Ben died.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, the phone rang and I got to go do now this super thing. There wasn't a lot of dwelling on it, but it was there.
He has, you could see it. And this is where I will say that this kid, Angel, who plays the younger Billy Batson, I think he really has grown as an actor, because on Andy Mack, he was really horrible. But in this one, it's moments like this, the one right after finding out what his mom really did and getting that phone call, you can see the decision click into place in his head. I have a real family and they need me, and I'm going to go take care of my real family. I'm going to be a part of that real family. And it's not an overdone, dramatic, emotional moment. It's just a simple moment where you see the kid realize what he does have, and he goes to save what he has. It's very simple.
Whereas in Marvel, they had the rain. Spider-Man's going to go sit on a rooftop. He's going to eat some Ben and Jerry's.
It's very broody.
Oh my God. he's gone. I get it. We all know the plot. Let's move on.
Yeah. The only time it didn't annoy me in a Spider-Man origin film was Into the Spider-Verse. It's the only time it didn't annoy me.
And it was because it's a matter of fact, we're going to move on. We'll deal with the ramifications as we're going, but there's no need to make the audience for the next 20 minutes watch you cry. Like that.
Like I've seen Uncle Ben die 3 times now.
Yeah. And watching you be moody isn't going to make us feel for you. It's going to make us kind of loathe you a little.
Yeah.
But watching you react to it and watching you react to it through your other actions,
yeah,
I think is a lot more powerful. And
agreed.
Like you said, we get to see the pivot right there. And the rest of the movie is go, 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 go. There's not downtime. I was shocked it was 2 hours long. It didn't feel that long.
I was the same way. I thought it was about 90 minutes. So I sat down. We sat down at 9 o'clock after the kids had gone to bed. And I was like, let's just put it in. It'll be over by 10:30. And then like 11 something comes around. I'm like, it's still going. It's like shit.
and I didn't keep checking my watch to see when it was over.
I didn't either. I had a great time. I had a hot toddy. I had my cross stitch. I was watching Shazam, and I was laughing. That was the thing. Like, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would a second time around, to be honest.
And something that I really enjoyed about the jokes is there was setups that weren't obviously setups that we're going to revisit. And I was telling Trish before we started, my favorite is the strip club. This strip club serves no purpose in this world whatsoever, other than a teen boy going in and he's eating a buffalo wing when he comes back out. And
he's
then
wearing a trench coat too. Like, this is so pervy, and you don't understand why that's pervy.
And so they're in the magical realm with all his foster siblings, and they're like, how did you get out of here last time? And he goes, I just thought about being in this place and I was there. And they're like, well, think of us someplace out of here.
Yeah.
And the first thing you see is the strip club and the older sister walking out going, this is the first place you thought of?
And she's covering the eyes of the youngest one. She's like, why can't I see anything?
Why are you covering my eyes? And you think, okay, that was a cute little comical joke. But wait, the better jokes are still coming. And as we come out, of course, Freddy is the last one out, and he's covered in glitter from head to toe. And they're like, the youngest girl is like, I want to go back. No, not till you're older. And then it just turns to one of the other boys who has had maybe 3 lines the whole movie, because he's always being quiet and in his own world. And he just goes, not my thing. Pause, rewind. Did you just come out of the closet with not my thing?
I loved it.
Bravo. I'm not entirely sure if that's what it meant, but I'm going to take it that way.
I think that's how it was coded. Honestly, that's how I took it.
And I really like the fact that everyone was just kind of like, okay, we're still running for our lives. Like, we don't have time to discuss this.
Yeah.
And then Darla, she's the young black girl who she's known that Billy is actually Shazam, but she's had to keep it a secret this whole time.
And every time you see her and people are talking about it, she puts something in her mouth, like food or something, so she can't say anything.
And everyone keeps going, it's rare that Darla doesn't have something to say. And she's just vibrating with... She's
bursting with, like, I want to tell everybody.
And when they finally figured it out, she's like, you figured it out and I didn't have to tell you. You mean you knew? Yes!
I love the moment in that scene. What I love is her throwing up her hands and saying, I am a good sister.
And so when they're outside of the strip club, Freddy comes out covered in glitter, and throughout the whole movie, she's been making signs and Christmas ornaments, and there's glitter everywhere. And she sees Freddy covered in glitter, and she's like, "Oh, glitter!
I want some glitter."
That was my melting point. You spent an hour setting up that joke. And when it was delivered, it was the laughter that only can come from a small child. Like I giggled. And then when Mary just goes, "You don't want that glitter," and I'm like, oh, who knew that strip club was going to give so many jokes?
I know. And it's what I loved is there's no conversation about what it was. You don't see any women like at all. There's no windows, there's no nothing. It's just the sun. You know exactly what's going on in there. If you want to explain it to your kids, you can, but you don't have to explain why that woman is in a bikini on a pole. Like there's none of that.
And it was just enough raunch to be adult giggle worthy.
Yeah.
But if your kids saw that, you wouldn't have to have a talk.
Exactly.
That's just a bar where they have glitter. Just let your kids believe that thing exists.
Exactly. I think we are approaching the time where we were like, we want to not go over this time.
So let's go ahead and there is a hot button topic. We talked about this beforehand, that there is something that we don't like about this movie.
Yeah.
The family friendliness flip-flop, that one moment was part of it. And then the other piece is there's a scene where Billy finds out his true power, and his power comes from his heart.
Mm-hmm.
And he opens his heart to his family, and they grab onto the staff and they speak the name Shazam, and they all turn into
their ideal selves.
Now, the cast of family members at this point is a young black girl who is just totes adored. There is a young Asian boy who's like video game crazy, who is my favorite of all of them. There's Mary, who is a very pretty high school senior. There is Freddie, who is in a how would you?
He has a limp. I mean, there's something wrong with one of his legs, and he has a cane that he uses to help him walk.
Yeah, so he has a crutch on one arm, but it never actually says what it is.
No, we don't know if it's cerebral palsy. We don't know if it was some kind of birth defect or an injury that he sustained. They never go into it, which is fine. Like that doesn't really bother me.
And I even liked it in the fact that it kind of, and I know broad representation isn't always the best thing, but I like that I could associate it with things that relate to me, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there's one of the boys is, I'm gonna say, Latino.
He's Latino, yeah.
I didn't look up the actor's name. And he is definitely a husky dude.
Yeah.
Definitely the big boy of the group. And that's all of the siblings, right?
Yeah, that's all the siblings.
So multiple times leading up to this, we get a flashback of the wizard who gave Billy his powers, and he says, "When you speak my name, you will become the ideal of perfection." And then the villain even goes, "You're what perfection looks like." Like they use this word perfection multiple times. So they all grab the staff and they all turn into perfection.
Or their ideal selves. Yeah.
It erases, so they all turn into very attractive, muscular, perfect superheroes, basically.
Yeah.
And Freddie doesn't have a limp. Darla in her cute little lisp self is now way too sexy to be that girl.
Although none of the costumes hypersexualize the girls, for which I was incredibly grateful.
They weirdly sexualize the dudes.
No, in terms of like biceps, yes. But how often do we get a crotch shot of Batman or Superman? And I don't remember that happen. I mean, like with giant ass cups, right?
Oh,
here is my penis entering the room before I do. Like they didn't do that.
Superman Returns. Go back and rewatch that for the package.
Yeah.
So even this, Zach Levy in that costume, like I will say, I appreciated the fact that the cup was modest. So
yeah,
you were more staring at the V of the chest than anything.
Yeah.
But even the chubby kid turns into, he's definitely thicker than the rest, but he is super buff in it.
I would actually say that Zachary Levi is bigger than him in the ideal form.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
Huge. He's just ginormous.
It is a little bit comical.
It is actually.
And
yeah,
so,
Freddy's limp is erased as well. And we do have a scene from Freddy where he's taking Billy to task, and he's telling him about how he wishes he could run. He wishes he didn't have this. He wishes he wasn't the kid that was known as, the one with the cane or, the crutch or whatever.
And I don't think, like, it very well could have been fine for him to be that idealized version of himself because he did want to be a hero. My qualm with it was the overuse of the phrase, and they do actually use the phrase perfection.
Yeah, agreed. And ideal self. Like they link them together as if being perfect is the ideal version of anybody.
And that kind of that was a moment of we were so close to getting out of this movie with very great representation, very great just wholesomeness, and that one little moment just felt like it's an oversight, but it kind of was a big one.
Yeah, and I was talking with you about this before the show. I remember when they gave Barbara Gordon as Oracle back her legs. I remember people who were disabled talking about how they had really one of the only representations of somebody who was disabled as a hero, not Daredevil type disabled where you could kind of still see. No, Oracle was in a wheelchair. She could not walk, and she was a hero. And how important that was to have a hero that still had a disability that wasn't erased by a superpower or anything else. And I feel like erasing Freddy's disability was a missed opportunity on so many different levels.
And I was even saying, I was the big kid. And so seeing that, I was like, dude, he could have been a good looking chunky dude.
Yeah.
And he was the powerhouse anyways. That was kind of my role as a kid.
What's the problem? I mean,
so those were really, and let's be honest, in the grand scheme of superhero movies, if those are the only problems,
well, especially in a DC superhero movie.
Yeah. I'm being made to watch the Snyder Cut.
No.
Yeah,
No. Don't do it, dude.
I'm also being made to watch not the re-edit, but the extended version of Batman versus Superman, because apparently Martha actually makes sense in the extended version. I find this hard to believe, and I kind of want to watch it because I don't believe it.
You're never going to get that combined 5 hours of your life back. Ever.
I'll probably multitask. I'll get an early start on my taxes or,
Damn.
Yeah.
Recommendation. I watched it while doing my taxes.
And the taxes were more exciting.
I would believe it. Totally.
Ooh, look at the extra Form C. Here we go. Yeah.
Well, we need a question of the week, and I think I might have one.
Okay, go for it.
What is your favorite, possibly geeky or superhero holiday episode, show, movie. I mean, there's a lot of geeky kind of Christmas stuff out there. What's your favorite? What's your go-to that you have to watch every year?
Oh, this is a good one. My new one, as of last year, will now be Anna and the Apocalypse forever.
Mine is the Doctor Who version of A Christmas Carol with Matt Smith as the Doctor. That is one of my all-time favorite geeky Christmas episodes of anything ever.
I am such a Scrooge about Christmas and Christmas stuff. And it's so funny because my partner has spent 3 weeks decorating his living room.
Oh, I love him.
He won the Glasgow tree lighting competition last year.
Oh my God.
Like,
dude.
It's serious. The one thing that we can agree on is Anna and the Apocalypse. It gives him his musicals and his Christmas, and it gives me zombies.
It's the best of both worlds.
It brings a household together.
So leave your geeky favorite in the comments. Let us know. I can always use more recommendations.
And next week, we're going to do a little bit of a prediction show. We're going to talk about some of the things that we're excited about, some of the things we're not so excited about.
Well, actually, and this will come out on Christmas Eve. That episode will come out on Christmas Eve. And
you might even get me on a rant and rave because I've been holding on to some stuff.
Uh-oh.
Even bigger than Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Damn.
All right. You guys have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
To stay up to date with the Geekorama podcast, you can watch our videos on YouTube or subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a review or hit the thumbs up button. New episodes are released on Thursdays for podcast listeners and YouTube fans.